Imagine sitting with us, a quiet room, two chairs, a small table, time set aside. No performance, no show, only conversation. Moments of listening, wondering, and remembering. Have a seat. You're welcome to listen. Welcome to the Just Right Stories. When we met years ago, there was one question I asked you that was at that time very unusual for you.
Yeah.
You talked about how you spend years playing with kids and you didn't have anyone to talk to and you were hurt. You didn't know how to deal with also the pain you received. And I asked you, what made you go on? Why did you keep on putting yourself into a situation that was really hard for you? What was it that kept you going?
That's still a difficult question, just the way it was back then. Wow, I'm not sure. I can't put a definitive word on that. It could be, and I didn't think about this. I had not thought that issue through. But it could be that part of me was still intrigued by the discovery of a pattern, the academic part of me. And that certainly was there. Because I began to think that if this pattern is what it looks like it is, this is earth-shaking. That is fundamental to all life on Earth. So that could be part of it. But the real feeling was I never made a choice. I never made a conscious choice. It's just something I did. And there was no other choice. There was no choice not to do it. Now it reminds me of my relationship with gravity. I don't make a choice every day and say, well, what should I do? I don't know. I hope gravity's working today. It was like that. It was so fundamental to what I did, who I was, that it never occurred to me not to do it. You know, before in my life, all of my education, getting a master's and a PhD and choosing topics, those were all conscious things that I either wanted to do or felt like I should do. This was not a conscious, I got to do this choice. It just was, it has to be done. And I mean, now I can look back and say, well, perhaps it was that when you spend 4 or 5 hours of your day with children, not observing children, but being with children, not testing them, not directing them, not controlling them, but feeling what's going on. It's such a graceful feeling, graceful presence to be in, that to choose normal life would be a mistake. But I never thought like that at the time.
Yeah. But you were not trained to be with kids. You were just coming from a very different way. Then you got put into that classroom and you had to figure out what to do and how to be there. but how did that develop? I just picture you coming from university, sitting in a classroom, having no clue whatsoever what to do with these kids. Where did you pick things up, or how did you, like, I'm curious about the first days, the first weeks. What were your thoughts or your doings?
It was the really living, being a beginner.
Mm-hmm.
Not just as a theoretical notion of how to be, but being. And then when you're a real beginner, it requires paying attention mm-hmm. to what's happening around you, because those are all clues of what you can or should or would do. Mm-hmm. And so most of the reason that it worked was, one, not talking, mm-hmm. not thinking, observing, paying attention, accepting. So, and watching, the kids would invite me to do things that I didn't know how to do. Mm-hmm. But like really good teachers, they made it overwhelmingly acceptable for me to do something that I didn't know how to do, how to move my body, how not to talk. Mm-hmm. I mean, as an adult, and certainly raised as a geography professor, I only talked. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And now I couldn't talk. And it wasn't so much, I didn't even ask questions. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It was in paying enough attention, the question I might have asked gets answered. Oh, I don't need to ask that. Mm-hmm. But paying that much attention was brand new. You don't pay that much attention in college, ever. So that was brand new to me. Mm-hmm. And when you pay that much attention to someone, they react, they accept, they feel. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't a normal adult who just sat down and I wasn't a rock. I was watching, I was learning, everything had meaning mm-hmm. around me. Mm-hmm. And I think at the beginning when I went home and wrote notes about what happened, part of it was not only, that's my background, mm-hmm. of yes. taking notes on what I learned, but I was learning so much I couldn't keep it all straight.
That must have been really an exciting time of being put in a situation that you think what would happen being with kids, and then you find so much there that you don't even know what to do with.
Right, you don't know what to do with it. And it can't go to other adults because they don't know what in the world you're doing. And why in the world would you do that?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, sometimes I wondered when it got frustrating, why am I the only one? Why don't adults get down on the ground with kids? Why don't adults learn from kids? I remember a teacher sharing me, when I actually asked that question, mm-hmm. she said, I don't like snotty noses. And I thought, well, have you ever heard of a Kleenex? I mean, it just...
Yeah.
We never, as a species, as a human race, we never took statements by Jesus or Buddha or Gandhi or Black Elk, Oppenheimer. We never took the statements of something about children know something I don't know how to do, that Oppenheimer said. We never took Jesus seriously. It's just child's play.
And they're all pointing to the children that there is something really
Important
and a treasure to find there, but no one ever goes there.
It's as if I finally said, okay, show me, Jesus. What the heck are you talking about? What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Oppenheimer, show me. What do you mean? Gandhi. And the way they showed me is plunk me down with kids. Find out for yourself. And I did find out for myself. And that's the way that I imagine real learning in anything happens, really happens. You find out for yourself, so you feel it. It's not just a matter of intellectually knowing something, but it's feeling difference and feeling the unity within difference.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, I know the difference between a lion and me. I mean, I can tell that's a lion, even when the lion is on top of me. But what I feel is whatever I call that, the face of God or oneness, that unites the lion and I outside of or beyond the categories within which we live. And that's where the magic, the mystery, the miracle of original play occurs. And then that's what the kids kept teaching me. I mean, early on, 5-year-old David said to me, Fred, play is when we don't know that we're different from each other. And I remember looking at him thinking, how and what and are you talking about, David? How do you know that at 5 years old? But he's exactly right. How many elders and all kinds of religions and philosophies have written books about what David said in one sentence? So that's an example of, I have to be present in such a way that the children will share what it is they have to share. If I'm not capable, the sharing doesn't happen. And I never learn what it is I need to learn. So it's that just... Many people spend hours, months, years sitting on a pillow, or sitting in a certain position, standing in a certain position, doing a certain kind of practice to be a beginner. I didn't have to do anything to be. I just plopped and began. And
didn't stop.
no. I kept being a beginner. I guess that's there's a certain magic in really being a beginner. And feeling that magic, maybe that's what kept me going. Maybe that's the pattern. If you feel the magic, you're not going to let it go. If you feel, and the magic, a better word for the magic is grace. If you feel grace, never in the world are you going to let that go.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, I might think, oh, this is grace. This is what it is. And then the next child comes and says, hey, dummy, it's over here. Oh, so I move, but no, grace is over here. Oh, wow, man, grace is everywhere. But that's what Jesus said. That's what Buddha said. It's okay. But to be present, to be a beginner here, turn your chair and be an absolute beginner here, not influenced about what just happened over here, is tough. Because then you got to move over here, and you got to be a beginner again. You got to let go of those two things. So you're constantly, and the reality in my case, I never consciously let go of anything. This was not some kind of moving meditation of how to be. It's just, I was a beginner because I had no choice. I had to be a beginner in order to live this moment fully. And that was true the next moment. Wow, I don't have to try. I don't have to do special things. I don't have to be a priest or a monk, or I don't have to pray every day. Maybe this is what life is supposed to be. Wow. And as Kaz said, if every moment is full, why do we need to practice? I was living that. I didn't practice anything. Because every moment was a brand new learning to me. How to move, how to stand, how to sit, how to accept. It may be easy to accept young children if they're kind, they sit in your lap and they cuddle, and that can be easy. The child who, for whatever reason, bites you in the face or bites your neck in an aggressive way, that's another beginner thing. Because the normal cultural me is going to have a response to that. And I can't have that response. But I don't know that. I just have to be with the bite the way I was with the cuddle.
What do you mean exactly? You are with a bite the way you are with a cuddle. What do you mean?
What I said after a while, with being bitten a lot, I had to learn to give love at the time of the attack. I mean, it's one thing to get punched or bitten or something. Calm down, move away from the child, and then say to yourself, okay, he's a kid, I forgive him. I didn't do anything like that. Nothing, ever.
We're never in that conscious process of doing something. No.
Never occurred to me. I mean, I had a wonderful playmate named Danny, who...
You can share a little bit more about him so there's a context for this.
Danny was about 6, 7 when he came to the school where I was. He had been abused severely. He had to live with the family dog, drank out of the dog dish. And I didn't know anything more about it because I didn't even want to know that part. In his classroom, Danny would, like all the kids, sit in a morning circle where the teacher would go through a routine of what she would like the day to be. Danny couldn't sit in a circle with other kids. He would not only get up and walk around or move, he would punch or bite or he would scratch other kids. So the teachers said, finally, we'll just give him to Fred, and Fred will be with him. I was with him. He was at school half a day, like 9 to 12. I was with him 9 to 12, 5 days a week for 7 years. It's more than my kids. Danny and I don't know, the relationship was incredible. One day I came, he was already, most of the time I arrived at school before his bus brought him from, he was living in an institution.
Yeah.
And when I came, he saw me on the other side of the fence, and he literally, his whole body shimmered.
What do you mean by shimmer?
I don't know how to do it. I mean, everything
It was shaking. Like.
shaking, but in a much calmer, focused way.
Mm-hmm.
All of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the fence, and he came, and we touched, and I go in. And we would spend virtually our entire time together touching,
Mm-hmm.
in one way or another. Well, Danny bit me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Back, neck, arms, hands. I had to learn.
Why would he bite?
Well, I learned from him, and some other kids too, but primarily for him. There are different kind of bites.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
To me, a bite is a bite and it hurts, and I don't like that.
Yeah,
That's clear. But Danny demonstrated there's an attack bite,
mm-hmm.
which is a bite that hurts, and there's a grab to it, a hold, a tension in it, and a pull.
Yeah.
There's what I call mouthing,
Yeah.
which is just the teeth are on you, but they're not pressing down.
Kind of
They're just
nibbling.
feeling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like a child would have something new in their mouth, and they're using their mouth, or an animal does, feeling what this is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then there's what I call a love bite.
Mm-hmm.
And Danny was an expert at this.
Yeah.
So he would bite and he would hold, but there was no downward pressure to it.
Yeah.
And no pull away. It was just there, present, strong. I couldn't pull out.
So it's a very intense connection.
Oh yeah, hugely
Very,
intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I learned, okay, just be there with it. In fact, push in a little bit. Push into that bite, feel the bite. And then I would learn to put my hand behind Danny's head
mm-hmm.
and just embrace him.
Mm-hmm.
Don't push him.
Mm-hmm.
Don't pull him.
Mm-hmm.
Just embrace so that my bite and his head became a one type thing. And I could do this. So I began to learn how to handle bites. Well, one day I was helping the kids get on the school bus to take them to the institution.
Mm-hmm.
And Danny was going, and he took one step up in the bus and decided he didn't want to go home, which was common for him.
Yeah. Okay.
He didn't like being at the institution.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm standing at the doorway. He takes a couple of steps here, and all of a sudden decides he's not going. And he quickly goes back around my back and runs out into the road. I didn't think. I just spun around, reached out, and grabbed him in such a way that he fell on me, and a car drove by. So then when I took him again to go back on the bus, he bit me through my face, all the way through. But at that point I didn't know that it was all the way through. I just knew it was a bite here in the cheek. And I just held him to it. Didn't talk, didn't say anything. And then it was done, maybe a minute. I sat with him on the bus, held his hand until it was time for them to go. I walked into the school and I was crying, and there was blood coming down my face. And the teacher said, "Ooh, Fred got it this time." They had seen blood on me from all kinds of stuff, but they'd never seen me cry. And I sat down and I thought, what are you doing? What just happened? Well, I thought to myself, well, that was give love at the point of attack. It works. There was no attack. I never felt attack. Never felt pain.
You didn't feel pain?
Nothing.
Although it was bitten through your cheek? Although you were really bitten through, you didn't feel pain? You just felt this. But where did that love come from?
I use the term love, but that's just to give it a word. Because the sense was like being embraced, being just, this is oneness, right here. This is it. And I remember thinking as I was sitting in a chair after Danny had left, okay, Jesus could do that. Gandhi, Mother Teresa. But not me, not a regular person.
But you did it. But you did it on that day.
At that time, I said, yeah, I did it. Now I would say, no, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
That was, for me, the example of what I call the triune relationship of me, Danny, and God. Would I say that I had the power to not be hurt, not feel pain? No, I don't imagine that. Did Danny do that on purpose? Yeah. I think, in a sense, everything that every child did to me was on purpose. Not my purpose, not on Danny's purpose, on purpose. And that purpose is grace.
Wow,
if I'm going to talk about feeling love at the point of attack, you got to be attacked.
That's what I wanted to say just now. It's like you can only learn if you have the situation where you can learn it. So if you need to learn how to be when you're attacked, you need to be attacked. I mean,
and the reality, this is the wonderful, the incredibly complex and mysterious and graceful circle within which play happens. From the outside, yeah, Fred got bit, and there's blood, and that had a hurt, and well, I don't want that to happen to me. That's how I would have observed it from the outside. From the inside, Danny acted with intention. It wasn't not like he had an accident and he just, it was boom. It was intentional. But what was his intention? From the outside, his intention was attack, hurt, pain, fear, all that kind of language. From inside, that wasn't his intention. There was no fear. There simply was no attack. The love of the relationship was the antidote that occurred prior to the attack. It wasn't like there was an attack, pain, and then there's this love that happens. Love happens first. Love is an environment within which the bite occurs. If I had had more experience, I might have moved my cheek toward his bite ahead of it.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that kind of experience. But Danny knew that. He did what was just right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he had to know that I knew that it was just right. That was our relationship.
Mm.
And that's the relationship, from my point of view, that we both had with God. Danny never talked about it.
Mm.
Talked about it most of the language interactions between Danny and I from the outside happened in his fantasy world. Mm-hmm. He would play with leaves with me. Mm-hmm. And I would have a leaf, and I would be the mother duck. Mm-hmm. And he would have 3 or 4 or 5 leaves, and he would be the baby ducks. Mm-hmm. And then we would play like little kids with fingers on them. Or sometimes he'd just come and hold my hand, or just sit and talk.
It seems to me when you talk about being with children, it seems very not much going on.
Often that's true.
And that's so unusual. If you look outside into a school or a kindergarten, kids run around, and there's much action going on. You very rarely see this, just being with someone, just holding hands, just walking, just looking at little things. You see it with little kids. But there's often a lot of talking going on then by the adults. But you explain a very different kind of situation.
Yeah, and that was always, again, my ability to pay attention. And not get saying, oh, well, he's just pretending, these are just, I never did that. You join him, you study him. And that means letting go of all the thoughts you might have about what he's doing, why is he doing it, what does it mean. I didn't study Danny. Mm-hmm. I didn't care what it meant. Mm-hmm. That's not why I'm here. Mm-hmm. But that's the only way to be there. Otherwise, you're not there. And Danny was very good at telling who's there and who's not there. Mm-hmm. Because adults had a hard time with him. Mm-hmm. There was a moment when Jan, the director and also my boss, and my wife at the time, all 3 of those things, she took me to the institution where Danny was resident. Mm-hmm. And she said, you need to see this. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not a, quote, licensed professional. Mm-hmm. So I'm excluded from professional interactions. Yeah. Thank goodness. Yeah. But she said, you need to see what goes on. Mm-hmm. So we're in a conference room. Maybe 10 people are there, all adults. And the subject was Danny. Mm-hmm. And so all of the, and Jan said, Fred, don't talk. We're not here for you to share. Mm-hmm. Just listen to what happens here. Mm-hmm. Okay. That was tough. So they shared. Each of them would share counselors and therapists and all kinds of people. And one young woman who works with the kids said that she had Danny and other kids in his unit do a race. They had a race, and she said they had them lined up, and they would race this certain distance and get a prize or something. And she said, Danny does not know how to play. He does not know how to interact with other people. Mm. She said, in this race, he was running, and he was, she said, near the front, ahead of everybody. And one of the kids fell down. So Danny turned around, went to the child, helped them up, and walked them to the end. Mm-hmm. And her conclusion was that Danny does not know how to play. At that moment, Jan looked at me like, don't you dare.
You could really keep quiet? Really?
Yeah, I had to be
I
quiet.
can see you there. Wow.
Because here was a perfect example of why Danny does not like to interact with adults. Mm. It was atrocious. When we left, Jan looked at me and said, thank you. Because she knew how tough that was for me to sit there while they made fools of themselves. Yeah. Danny, at one point, gave me a piece of art with Dad written on the back. Mm. Yeah. Wow. And you think, wow, if this is what it means. I mean, obviously Danny is a special needs child, serious special needs child. But if this relationship I have with him is what it means to be in school, then the whole system is wrong. Mm. I never put a value word on Danny, that he was good. I never told him he was good. I never told him he was bad. My expression of our relationship was in my hands, in my body, in my eyes. And so was his. He was one of the more powerful teachers I had. And can you really be a beginner? Mm-hmm. If I do this, can you be a beginner? Whew. Okay. It was like God and life testing me every single day with Danny. Mm-hmm. And I was at a school where there were 30, 40, 50 other kids. Half special needs and half normally developing kids. My job was also to play with all the other kids. Mm. So I couldn't just be with Danny alone. Mm-hmm. It helped me realize what I call having to be 300%. I had to be 100% with Danny, and he required nothing less. Yeah, if I didn't do that, beep, he's gone.
Yeah, I can imagine. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I have to be. Other kids run up and hug me. They run up because they know who I am. Yeah. They know what I do. I have to be 100% with each one of them as they come around. Mm. And I have to be 100% floating like a drone on top of the school playground, the classroom. All three of those at the same time.
Mm.
That was being a beginner. Because if you don't do that, you get surprised.
Mm.
And those surprises are not always pleasant. And that's a reflection of what safety means.
Mm-hmm.
Safety didn't mean just holding Danny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Safety meant the environment that Danny is in has to be safe. Not just Danny,
Yeah.
but the environment that he's in.
Yeah.
Not just who he touches, but the whole space.
Mm.
And it's in allowing that vertical sense of safety to move horizontally and vertically at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was a real beginning for me. I didn't know how to do that. But I would just see things happen that shouldn't happen because I'm not paying attention. At the beginning, Danny would have never negative interactions with other kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't aware enough to stop that
Yeah.
prior to the occurrence. So I had
You had to be really aware what's going on in the whole space. So what were the things you picked up?
how they move, how Danny looks.
Yeah.
What I told you about the incident, the school bus.
Mm-hmm.
I should have been aware to just put my arm out and hold him at the door. I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I was focused on the bus,
Mm-hmm.
not out there.
So it's every second you're not focused on really being aware. Something catches you and say, "Oh, you better look there too." So it's like, is it growing your awareness like way beyond your what would you call this?
Mm-hmm.
Your space.
And you don't have to try to do that. I mean, I was aware enough in the bus incident to spin and move my arm in such a way that caught him and brought him into me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I was unaware, I would not have been able to spin and move
Yeah.
before he was out there
Yeah.
in front of the car. But so you had to keep learning, had to keep... There were no degrees, no black belts. And not even mastery. It was just, the art continues to be a beginner.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the mastery is, in that.
Now, what do you mean be a beginner? Like, what does it change? What's different if you're a beginner?
Be a beginner at being fully human. That means drop all your categories. No fear, no.
Now that would sound to me like be original, be as you were designed.
Yeah.
Just be.
Be a beginner, be original. All those are nice words.
Yeah.
I had this thing of no expectations. Be ready for anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I used to think about myself.
Mm-hmm.
In any interaction with kids, don't expect anything,
Mm-hmm.
and be ready for anything that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Anything? Yeah, anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one way to do that. Let go.
Let go.
Can't try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, some people think when they hear me, especially if I use the word God, think that original play is giving up the responsibility and putting it on God. Well, God will take care of this, so I don't need to do anything. Mm-hmm. Well, the reverse is true. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now your responsibilities are exactly what God's are. No excuses.
No excuses, yeah. Mm-hmm.
No bad days. That's what it means. It means that your survival is not what counts. Mm. What? Right, your survival is not what counts. What counts is being fully human, or as Paul would say, being alive while you're alive. Simple. You can do that. And the kids do that. Mm. They don't have to think about what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. They just do. Be, and the doing is the being, mm-hmm. and vice versa. Mm-hmm. But it's not just, many people think their spontaneity is psychological development in a human being. That you can itemize it, study it, copy it, write a book about it. Mm-hmm. But what I'm talking about, you can't itemize, you can't collect, you can't write a book about it. Because the it you're writing about is not what you're writing about. Because it's a relationship outside of the eyes that you're watching. To be comfortable with that. It's not just being comfortable with the unknown. In terms of, I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know what's going to happen to me. It's also being comfortable with, what do I do in that moment? That's where the comfort. So it has two faces. I'm comfortable with what's arriving, mm-hmm. and I'm comfortable with how I receive it. Mm-hmm. And that's the triune experience.
Thank you. Wow, that was intense. That was like the bite. Very intense. I'm just gonna